Happy Tuesday. How's everyone doing? I am waiting on Amber. I sent her a message on Instagram. So hopefully she gets it and she's not having any issues coming into the studio. Hopefully she will join us very soon. But until then, I would love to know how your morning and / afternoon is going. And just let me know. I've got my coffee. I finally ordered one of my Halloween themed mugs to match my shirt. So I've got my mug, and then the mugs have this fun little crochet hook graphic on the back. So that's super fun. I'm really excited about my Halloween themed mug that I can have now. Now that it's technically fall, even though it's still pretty hot outside here. Good morning, Ellen. Like I said, I am waiting on Amber to join. Hopefully she's not having any issues joining in. Let me actually see if she responded. Not yet. Well, we'll just hang out for a little while. Like I said, I hope you guys are all doing great today and you're having a good morning. Let me know what you're drinking, if you've got coffee or if you've moved on to something else. This is second cup number 2 for Tuesday. So until Amber joined us, I can give you a little update on what I've been working on. I got news that my grandfather had been moved to a new care facility. And I sent a message to his stepdaughter, and she's really close to him. And that was a great move. We were able to move him from, he was actually in Gulf Shores, Alabama, where we didn't have any family, to he's now in around the Clemson area. And she let me know that we had to move him to a new facility. And I asked her if there was anything that I could send him that he might enjoy. And she told me that he might actually like to have like a crochet throw blanket / lap blanket. And I was like, I can do that. And his birthday is coming up in October. So I'm hoping to be able to finish this super simple. I'm going to use 2 strands of super bulky yarn, so it'll work up really fast. And I'm going to use a 20mm hook to make him. I want it to be bigger than like, I don't want it to just be a lap blanket, but I don't want it to be like a full bed size blanket. So I went with kind of a throw size. And those are anywhere from like 50 inches by 60 inches. Like it's around that range. So I just started on that last night and I got through about 6 rows. So I think that'll be really nice. It's going to be crazy trying to ship something that big. But you know, I think that'll be really nice and I think he'll enjoy it. So we'll see, but he's going to be turning 85. So I think that will be really nice. See what everybody's doing today. Diet Peeps for sure. Does that mean diet? Is that Diet Pepsi? Is that what you're drinking? Ellen is hooking up a trailer to hubby's truck. That's pretty crazy. I don't think I would know how to do that. So good on you, Ellen. Good morning, Sindra. Good morning, Erica. I know you just said Diet Peeps. I'm guessing that's, like I said, probably Diet Pepsi, maybe. Hello to C Fiberworks. Hello to Lane's Garden. And Erica says, I'm not too far from Clemson. Yeah, that was actually part of the goal. He got moved right before, actually it was right in the midst of the first COVID spike. And they had to take a whole bunch of precautions to actually try to move him because he was moving, you know, like I said, from Gulf Shores to Clemson. And I was excited because Clemson was closer. And because of COVID, I still haven't gotten to go see him. So that sucks. especially since he got moved because he's not really doing very well. He had to get moved to a higher care facility. So, you know, that's not always the best. But like I said, I tried to see if there was anything he needed, you know, so that I could check in with him. And I just got a message from Amber. She is on the way. So if you're waiting for our little interview, that should be happening very soon. I'll be able to add her to the stream as soon as she makes it in. Kat, I made my little bro a blanket that was somewhere around full/clean size, and I shipped it in a large flat rate by putting it in a trash bag and squishing all the air out. That's a good idea. I mean, it'll have to be a pretty big box. Someone else has a vacuum bag. Yep, that's a good idea. And I don't mind. You know, I haven't gotten to send him a ton of stuff, so I think that either way it'll be nice. I think it'll be nice to send him something because I don't know if he's really reading anything or doing any of those kinds of activities. I need to call the facility. I think that would give me a better idea of, you know, what he might actually like. Alazina, if I say that wrong, I'm sorry, Ali Zina, drinking coffee here in New Jersey. Oh, it's Anna. Hi, Anna. Yes. Well, good morning to everyone. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here. Noon is like my time of the day. By then, I've had plenty of coffee. I feel ready. And Amber's here. So let me add her to the feed. Give me just a second. Oh, Anna of the Naughty Boss. Yes. So Anna is on my list to bring on here for a new one, for another one, for a future Pink Sheep and Friends. Hello, Amber.
Hi there. I am so sorry I'm late. My brain kept saying 9:30. Like, I don't know why. I even saw it this morning. So I was getting everything set up and then I saw your message and I was like, oh no.
Well, and honestly, I figured too, I'm always dealing with different time zones. So part of me is like, okay, well, if I'm not in the same time zone, you never know what our brains are doing because I've had that happen before too, where I've ended up running late because I'm thinking that it's a different time than it is. And yeah, so no big deal. How are you this morning?
I'm well. I'm doing good. I got patterns out, running around, family, just a Tuesday, just a normal fun Tuesday.
Well, we have someone in the chat, Anna of the Naughty Boss, who said that she is currently finishing up a test for you.
She is. She's working on poo. I had it. Now it's gone. It's one of my wall hangings she's working on right now. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what color she uses.
So how many tests do you have going at one time usually? On average?
I don't know. I have been trying really hard to be like on top of it lately. Like we talked about before, like trying to be organized is how I try to keep from feeling like everything's just chaos all day.
Yeah.
And so I think right now I have 3. So it's usually 3 or more depending upon how many patterns that I need to be releasing in the future.
Yeah. And what are any of those wearables where you're having to test multiple sizes, or do you try to keep that, do you try to mix it up so you don't have a whole bunch of wearables going at the same time, or does it just depend?
I usually try not to have too many wearables, but right now I do actually have 2 cardigans that are being tested. And I always hate to do that because I do have my core testers, like my awesome, they love to take all the tests and they're super great with the feedback and they have fun photos and just like wonderful testers. And I'm like, oh no, if I do these both at the same time, she can't test both of the cardigans. And then I feel bad because I know that she would have just like absolutely nailed both of them. And so that kind of sucks. But especially with the winter coming, like it's squishy,
I feel
cozy
like I
season.
fell behind. I feel like I fell behind because this was my first summer doing summer and like warmer weather patterns. And I didn't do a ton of them, but it still like put me kind of behind the ball when I was like, oh, I really need something ready. And now I have a 6-week window where people are going to need to test this, instead of just being able to put it out there. So I feel like it's easy to fall behind when you're doing design because it's almost like it's easy to forget how much time is necessary for all of the other things that have to happen besides just finishing the garment and writing the pattern.
Oh yeah. And that's actually the hardest part for me too, is like I need to stay on top of the pattern writing. Like I'm trying very hard to write it as I go so that I
Hmm.
don't have the, oh look, the garment's to a point that I can start testing it and like show people and ask for testers so they can see what it's going to look like.
Yep.
Um, but then I haven't started on the pattern yet. And then that's like another week that I have to actually
Yeah.
do it. And I'm just like, yeah, sometimes even now I forget to allocate like the proper amount of spacing for all of that. And then also trying to give testers long enough to work on it. And that I always feel
Yeah.
really bad about.
Well, I would love to start out. I know we've already been talking a minute, but I want to make sure if anyone's watching who has not been following you or doesn't know who you are, I would love if you wanted to give just a little intro of you and what you do and your business and just kind of how that all got started and all that fun stuff.
Okay, I'm Amber. I run Divine Debris. I've been designing for a long time. I don't even know when I started, maybe 2013.
Yeah.
A very long time ago. I think I started actually working at a craft store in 2012, and all the pretty yarn was like whispering little words at me. And so I had to buy it and play with it because I knew like 10% of what crochet even entails. And so
Hmm.
it was just super exciting. I picked it up. I actually started watching like Moogly videos on YouTube and stuff and teaching myself to crochet more. And then I started like dabbling in like little earrings in
Hmm.
2013 and having fun with that. And it kind of snowballed from there because that is how fiber arts can be, where you just like
Yep.
you do a little bit and you're like, ooh, I like this. And then, a couple years later, you've got a blog and you've been trying to develop your social media and you're trying to figure out how to get the patterns, people's eyes on the patterns, like, and
Hmm.
showing them. And like, it's not a remarkable story. It's probably pretty standard as far as I liked yarn and I started playing with it. And then I started, making the patterns. Like I have a background in art. I did it when I was a kid. I have an art history degree, so I love like art and the process of it. And so, um, making pretty things with yarn just became like another avenue for that expression.
We do have someone who asked, how did you come up with your name?
My name is taken from a Nine Inch Nails song because I was one of those cool kids when I was in high school. I wore a lot of black, a lot of eyeliner. My hair was actually pink at the time because that is, I just stay that way. But yeah, it's off of the Fragile. It's somewhat damaged. One of my favorite Nine Inch Nails songs. I just liked it. I picked it as a username for Gmail, I think, years ago, and that was it. Like
That's pretty awesome, though,
2001, I think was the first time I used it, and that's been it.
because I feel like that's really hard for a lot of people. Like coming up with a name can be one of, I think, almost one of the hardest things about starting because you get that anxiety of like, well, what if it's not good enough and I need to change it? Or what if it's not catchy enough? Or what if it's not, what if people can't remember it? And I feel like that I had that concern of like, well, I don't want to get too unique because I don't want people to forget it, or not remember how to spell it. And I feel like you did good because that's easy to remember and it's still meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I still see that. It's actually, you are not wrong. I see those in crochet groups all the time, or even my friends who have tried to talk about rebranding because they'll
Yeah.
have like a very specific name, and then they find like in 6 years, they kind of want to go in a different direction. They want to start doing little more accessories. They want to start
Mm-hmm.
making like hooks like you do and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then they've kind of kept, the name has pigeonholed them into a specific niche. So that's what I
Yeah.
always say is, don't focus so much on the crochet, focus on something that works for you and what
Mm-hmm.
you think you can grow with your business with, as
Yeah,
far
I
as
think
like a
that's a good
name
idea.
and branding.
Yeah. Well, I would love to hear a little bit more too, because we chatted a little bit before this, for anyone who's watching live. And thank you for everyone who's joined us in live and anyone who's watching the replay. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about your transition with pattern making and like some of these. the journey that that's gone through, of like where you started with some of the designs that you started with to where you are now. Because I know we talked a little bit about how you weren't really making a ton of garments at first, but you make quite a lot of garments now, and what that looked like to get where you are now.
Yeah, like I said, I started with earrings. I used to use like floss, not like tooth floss, but like embroidery floss. I didn't want to make that clear. Although you could probably crochet with real floss, like that'd be really cool and very durable.
Yes.
Anyway,
it probably smell good too if you get like
oh yeah, you got a like, little wind come through, and you're like, ooh. But it just embroidery floss or crochet thread, and I started making earrings. And then, you know, of course, winter hit, so I wanted to make hats and stuff. And that's they're quick patterns. You get with hats and scarves, you have that immediate like joy of making something quick, and you can put it on, and you're like, yeah, look how cool I am. I love this. And for a long time, I stuck with that because it's just so much fun to have something quick and, you know, fast to make. And I started doing like a little more accessories, like I've got rings, and then I
love the rings still. They make me so happy that you have so many themed rings, and it's all on your blog, right? Those are all on the blog, or are they on Ravelry?
Yes, I've got a bunch of those. Some of them are PDFs available on Ravelry, but all of the rings and all my earrings are available on my blog. So if you want to, you know, dabble with that stuff, it is a little hard on the hands. I do tell people, you know, make sure you take breaks, because that little hook and the little thing, you're just like this right in there. And sometimes that can get exhausting. And I'm surprised I didn't put any earrings on. I love my, I have mushroom earrings. I get compliments every time I leave the house. I'll have strangers just walk by and go, sorry to bother you, but I love your earrings. They're so cute. And then they just walk off. I'm like, oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
But it's just that immediate burst was so great and so gratifying that I kind of stuck with it for a long time. And I actually didn't start making garments until like 3 years ago. Okay. I don't know what changed. I got, I don't know, inspired by my friends. Like I just was like, okay, I think I can finally do this. I can, like, it seems so scary, and it feels like a huge endeavor when you're making, you know, a sweater or something. But I figured, you know, I read a lot of blogs. I got some designing books. Like I tried to look into it as best I could. And then, of course, Crafty Yarn Council, you know, you go on there, you look at those measurements. You got to look at those measurements. I try to keep really close to that the best I can. And then also with the feedback from testers, as far as like, especially the larger sizes, because I think some of the measurements Crafty Yarn Council has is maybe a little generous for those, for the larger sizes. So it ends up making it really big. So, you know, it's a learning process. Yeah. But, yeah, I do make a lot of garments now because it gives me, while it takes more time, it is still that same like wonderful gratification of just like feeling cool. And then again, you know, what was the design? I can't remember. I wore a sweater a couple of years ago out to lunch with my mom, and it was another one of those, like the waitress stopped me and was like, "This looks amazing on you." And I was like, thank you, I made it. And she's like, oh my gosh, you did? And it was like a whole, like just that wonderful feeling. And it's so cool, especially with sweaters, because people don't expect that. Like when you're wearing a top or something that you've made, people don't like immediately assume you made it. And so it's just like, unless
they're also a crafter, unless they're also like, hey, I made mine too.
Those are fun.
That happen. I don't know if I've ever like run into someone while wearing something I made, while they were wearing something they made, and it's like it would have been an instant connection. I don't think that's ever happened to me, and I feel like it should have.
Yeah, it should absolutely. I love that. I've only ever had I've been sitting in a brewery. My husband liked to drink beer, and I was sitting in a brewery and making something, and I can hear people go, oh, "I love crochet," and then I'll look up, and that's about the most I ever get as far as like that. I'll have somebody talk to me about what I'm making at a brewery, and they'll be like, oh, I crochet too, and I'm making this, and I'm like, cool, I'm making a thing. That's awesome. And that's fun. So I think I answered your question.
Yes. And I think too, something that you touched on that I think is really important for anyone who is interested in pattern designing and does feel a little overwhelmed by this idea of like sizing and measurements. And I think you said something really important, and that is finding finding testers that you can trust enough to give you the feedback that you need, and then listening to that feedback versus just sticking with exact measurements. Like having enough testers, because the same thing happened to me. I struggle the most with length. So adding additional length for larger sizes always seems to like make my mind explode. Like it never works out really easily for me. And now that I have this much, much larger test pool of people who are, I just consider them veteran testers. You know, they're people like you said who you can trust and you really know are going to take that time to not just make the item, but really give good feedback. Sometimes I'll pitch the pattern before I even do a test call. I'll just send it to them and like, does this look okay? You know, do I need to make some changes before I even send the pattern out? And I don't know if you've had that, you know, happen with you or any similar experiences like that with your testers.
Not often, just because my release schedule, I do tend to make a lot, and you know, I throw that out there, and I get I listen, I keep my chat open as far as the test goes, so that I hopefully feel very comfortable to put in feedback, let me know how things are fitting. And it's always a process, always learning. It's always a journey. I guarantee there's no designer out there that feels like they know everything there is to know about like sizing, about grading, about just making sure things fit.
Yeah.
Like there's always room for improvement and learning.
Well, and how do you manage your test groups? Do you use Instagram or because I know a lot of people have a lot of different ways that they'll manage their test groups.
I have my email list. I have many spreadsheets with a lot of names on them, and I pretty much conduct tests on Instagram now. I keep meaning to do Discord. I just don't know how to do Discord. I've thought about it multiple times. I actually started a Discord. I have one. I just don't know how to use it yet. And I have like only 20% of my brain left that's not like going towards a current pattern or what have you. So it's like figure out how to do Discord or make dinner tonight. Like it's hard sometimes. And so I haven't done that yet, but that is the next stage, because I know a lot of people do tests on Discord. I believe you have a Discord that you use.
Yes. And I was going to say, if we want to have a separate chat about it, we totally can, because I will tell you, when I started the Discord, I'd never used it. The only thing that I had used that was similar was Slack, because when I went remote for my job, before I left my full-time job, we were using Slack as a way to communicate remotely. And I was like, this is an amazing tool. I wish I had something like this for my testers, because I used to use IG like group chats, but then I outgrew the group chats. You know, like then I had all these group chats going, and I was like, you know, I wish I had a better way to keep in touch with everyone all at once instead of having this limit on a group chat. Because I think you have like 30 people or something. And I started the Discord having no idea what I was doing. And I just went ahead and brought in all of like my very, very regular testers. So people who tested at least like 4, 5, 6 designs for me. And I had one tester in particular who just kind of took the reins and like helped me, because she was like, I use it for gaming. And so I can help you set up the server as long as you're okay with that. Like, I don't want to step on your toes. And I was like, oh my God, no, this is amazing. Please. Thank you.
You're like, no, by all means.
Yes. And you may have someone like that in your test group. If you have your kind of regulars that you can reach out to and say, if anyone wants to help. And, sometimes I'll figure out ways to compensate. I don't do any kind of like monetary compensation for my testers, but sometimes I'll try to do like credits to my Etsy shop, and I'll say like, if you do this for me, that's an additional help outside of pattern testing, I'll like send you one of my t-shirts, or, something where I feel like I can compensate without having to take on employees, because I am not ready for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, like I said, it takes some time, but you may be surprised by some of the people that are already in your world that might be willing to help you with it. And then, it won't feel so overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, and I know it's user friendly. Like my husband's on there. I'm on Discords for other people, like some podcasts that I'm on their Patreon and stuff for. I just don't use it. Like, so that's just like, that feels like a lot, like a massive mountain to climb kind of a thing. I know once I get in there, it'll make sense and it'll be great
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a thing. Just need to take the jump. But
Yeah.
yeah, it seems phenomenal and I really want to use it. And like, I'm doing my 61 days of Halloween watching. And I was like, man, if I had a Discord, this would be so fun because then everybody could watch together and we could talk about it. And I just know
Yeah. And you don't have a Facebook group or anything, do you?
No, I
Okay.
never took the
Okay.
jump with that. It's, oh, the moderation, I imagine, is a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, and again, it's all of those little things. Like there's a million things that you could be doing. And I think that with businesses, it is focusing on the things that you have the brain power for, that you have that space and time to do, but that you also enjoy. Like I don't feel like that's something that I try to tell people all the time is like you shouldn't have to feel like you have to do anything. Like you should focus on the things that make you happy and bring you joy. And like there still might be some stress obviously involved, but you always have that choice of like, you don't have to be on Instagram. You could just be on Facebook. You don't have to be on Facebook. You could just be on Instagram. You can pick another social media channel.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that sometimes people stress themselves out because they feel like they have to be in a million places and using all of these different tools and all of these different systems.
Oh,
So
absolutely. You see people right now like TikTok. I
yeah, no,
don't understand TikTok. I think it's wonderful. I love it. I get on there and I'll watch dog videos and I'll think it's just the best thing ever, or cats glaring at people. Like I love that, but I don't know if I could do it. And there is that pressure. You feel like you need to be doing everything and the new thing, and you got to be on top of it because you don't want to miss out on building that in case it blows up again, like TikTok did.
yeah,
Like, and you also, because it is a business, you have to know where to extend your energy. Like
yeah.
if you're spending hours doing something and then you get nothing from it, no sales, no blog hits, nothing, then
Mm-hmm.
what was the point? And so it's
Yeah.
really frustrating to do because like, oh, freaking Pinterest.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like spent years trying to get Pinterest working and now I'll post on there and nobody sees it. And it's just,
Yeah,
it's so.
Yeah, I go in waves with Pinterest. Every now and then I'll get on a good kick and I'll share a couple of my patterns to my boards. And then I'll go back in and it'll look like I'm getting all these views, but then like nobody's pinned anything of mine. And I'm like, I don't know if this is good or not. I don't know if this is working or not. So I'm just going to give it another 2
Exactly.
months and not do anything.
Exactly.
They'll be there.
And it's so weird because like lately, not to get off on a tangent with Pinterest, but I feel like my old pins, like stuff that I pinned a year or more ago,
Mm-hmm.
are doing numbers. They're still getting clicks, they're getting shares, they're doing all this. But anything I've done in the last 6 months, nothing. Bagel.
Interesting.
Nothing. It's absolutely frustrating. And I don't know. And I feel like the less time I spend on there, the more it works for me. I don't know. Every time I log in, like the days where I'll throw a bunch of pins on there, it goes down. But then when I leave it alone for a week, like all the analytics start climbing, they get more clicks, I get more shares. I'm like, what's going on?
You don't have to do anything then. Yeah.
Right? I'm like, what am I even spending time on this? I'll, like you pop in every once in a while, be like, ooh, new pattern. And then just, that's it.
And I need to do that now. That's on the list.
Yeah, that's my today fun. I got new patterns out, so I have to do that today.
Woo! That's exciting.
Yeah, really.
So how many patterns on average do you release over time? Like per month, per what? I don't know how many you release on average. So I figured that would be a good question.
My release schedule is weekly. I do a blog pattern every week. It varies from what it is. It could be like fun little coasters or wall hanging or something. I do try to throw in garments there because, got to be honest with you, that's what gets clicks. People like garments. Like you can do fun little house stuff, nice bulky basket or something, and that gets love. But garments are where it's at as far as building a brand. And that sucks because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But yeah, I do those, and then I release a premium pattern that's a little bit more involved. They're usually harder, and they have more, like as far as the design, there is more elaborate design to it, or a stitch pattern, something that somehow in my brain it worked out to be premiumer. Yeah. And so it's usually like 5, depending upon if it's stitched together, it might be 6 patterns a month.
Okay.
So 5 to 6 patterns.
And that's what I said when in the description of this video and every rest, you are a pattern boss. Like you have definitely figured out the key to that for you, you know, and I think that was the other thing that I wanted us to talk about was not only what are some of the ways that you, and actually this was a comment earlier in the comment thread, was how you keep everything straight from, you know, the patterns that you're creating, release dates, testing, promos, all of that, because you are releasing weekly. What are some of the ways that you stay on top of all of that, and how far in advance are you having to plan these patterns out?
As far as planning, as far in advance as I possibly can go. I'm constantly thinking about things. I've already got a swatch for November's premium pattern on my hook right now, so I'm getting that ready. I'm trying to get as far in advance as possible. I have everything written down. I stick to the same schedule. I try to do exactly like the same routine. I have my release day is Tuesdays. I've been doing it on Tuesdays for the last like 5 years. Like I made sure I picked a day. That was it. Nothing else.
That's
just
smart.
Tuesdays. Like, and so I do it on Tuesday, because then I know that I need to have the patterns ready to go by Sunday night. I need to have the photos ready to edit by Monday. I need to have all of my, like the platforms I'm going to, you know, I have the Ravelry listing ready by Monday. I have the blog post is ready by Monday. Like I know what I need to have done, so that I'm not always like trying to scramble to find time for that. Like I have a very strict routine when it comes to releasing patterns. And so that helps tremendously. Like once I picked a day for releases instead of like kind of whenever it was ready, it helped me to structure the time before that. And then I have everything written down in my Google Calendar with alerts, so that I remember like tests are due on this day, and I need to have, you know, this information sent out, or even just saying, you know, reminding me, hey, finish the freaking pattern. You need to make a call for testers by this day. This is your absolute last day. You should be doing this. Like I have to like even send reminders. Like I love that about like a Google Calendar, because then you can send yourself emails for alerts. And so it'll send you an email and you'll just, oh, I got to do that. And so it's very helpful. Like I have a lot of structure is what I do to help manage it. It's a very structured release schedule.
And that's probably with everything else too, with your business, I'm guessing, outside of the patterns, but everything else, I'm guessing, is a part of that structure, that you keep everything very specific.
Yeah, I try to keep on top of it. I try to make sure that I know, you know, materials that I've got on hand, so I can work on things going forward. If I need to get more yarn for a project, I have that. Just pretty much try the best I can to be like as type A organized as possible to manage everything.
And is everything that you use right now, organization wise, digital, or do you do any kind of written planner type of stuff?
Pretty much digital. I do have a whiteboard in my kitchen with like dates in case it is something that I feel like I'm going to forget. And it has happened. I forget meetings and stuff like that with brands every once in a while, and then I feel really bad. But for the most part, I do digital. I have it all in my little calendar. And then that way I can access it if I'm on my computer, if I'm on my phone. You know, it's very easy to connect to.
Yeah.
As long as I have internet.
Yeah. Right. So someone did ask, this is CB Fiberworks. What things tend to convert better for you? IG, Facebook, or another platform?
Honestly, it kind of depends. Like direct marketing is probably still the best way to go. Like newsletters and trying to keep people connected that way is still the best way to go, because it sucks, but those are the people that do want to see your content. Like Facebook, Instagram, you throw a follow, a like on somebody, and that's great. You know, then you'll never see it again. Whereas email, hopefully they're opening them, they're engaging with them, they're clicking, they're seeing what you have new every week or whenever you release. And that does help. But honestly, I feel like I have to still do all of it. because it just kind of varies. It depends on what's going to hit that week. Sometimes I've posted in a Facebook group and had a pattern just blow up. People love the photo, looks really good, or they think it looks cute, or it just gets a lot of comments. And so it just keeps bumping it back up to people's feeds. And that'll just tons of traction, pop off. Everybody loves it. Or I'll post in the same group 2 days later and it'll be dead.
Yeah.
And so, post on Instagram, same way. It's just, it's
we talked about
unfortunate.
this.
Yeah, the algorithm. Some days you're like, wow, this one did really well. And the next day you're like, oh, 200 likes. Thank you, guys. Just happens.
And I agree. I think it doesn't mean, as long as you have, like I said, the bandwidth to manage all of those different things, it's good to just be consistent there. And if you get to a point where you can't be consistent, then that platform might not be right for you. But it is important to just do it all to a point where you, like I said, can be consistent. And what do you feel like has been the best way for you to build your email list? Because I think that's a big question a lot of people have, because it is. For me too, it's been some of the best marketing because, like you said, it's the people who they really do want to know. Like, they want to know what's happening. They want to know what's new. But that can be very elusive. Like this idea of having an email list of people who want to know what you're up to.
Oh, yeah. And it's hard to keep it high. Like engagement rates on an email list, 30% is still pretty good. Like across the board, especially for a niche thing. Like, it just kind of depends. I have embedded in all my blog posts. I have a pop-up on my blog that I try to make sure only pops up to people like once a week at most. If it, returning visitors, try to like make so it's not super invasive. I also link it on my Ravelry posts. Ooh, totally forgot what I was saying. Ravelry posts. I have that embedded in the Ravelry posts. So when people pull up Ravelry, even if they're just like casually browsing, they can see, join my newsletter so you can keep up to date. I throw that into Instagram stories when I'm talking about new patterns. Like, just trying anytime I kind of feel like it's an organic opportunity, Facebook groups and what have you. Just when you feel like it's a good time to do it is probably the best way. And you can't force people. You can try to do giveaways and be like, hey, sign up for my newsletter so you can get, free pattern or what have you. But I don't like that as much because I find those, you end up getting those massive unsubscribes pretty quickly too. So.
Yeah, I found, and I don't know if you were even supposed to do this, but I used to try to source them from Etsy. And I think it's a no-no from Etsy. I don't think you're supposed to go in and take emails from Etsy and put them in a newsletter. But I did that initially to just build something because I didn't have anything. I was like, I have no one to email about anything. And I have found over time that I get so many more unsubscribes, and I can go in and look to see how they were added. And it's usually people that I added to that list. It's not people who signed up via the link. And I'm at a point now where I don't do that anymore. I send a thank you message on Etsy for people who do purchase my patterns saying, like, if you want to sign up, here's the link, as like a personalized thank you after they make the purchase. And it's such a better feeling now when I get like the notification that someone subscribed from your landing page. I'm like, yes, somebody actually wants to see my stuff. It's much more, it's a much better feeling than feeling like I forced someone, into being on my email list. Yeah.
And I've done that too. I've participated in like big giveaway events from other designers. And then, the incentive for me is that I get the email subscribers. And same thing where you get them and then massive unsubscribes. Like people, they signed up for a freebie from a different designer. They don't necessarily want to see my content too. It's much better. And I find the engagement stays better when they're signing themselves up, especially when they come to my blog and they're browsing it and, it's right there in the middle of the page. They can just sign up and, keep seeing the stuff if they like it.
Yes. How often do you send emails? Is that a weekly, since you're releasing patterns weekly?
Yes, I send emails when I have a new release. I do also do weekly, sales on older patterns. And then I do a resend on the weekends for unopens. So
Oh,
that's
cool.
kind of the release schedule as far as emails. I don't want to overburden people. I know
Mhm.
some designers that do like to send weekly or like daily emails when they
Yeah.
get new releases. I don't like that personally.
Yeah.
I don't like receiving that.
Yeah.
And so I try to keep it as minimal as possible to be like not just the designer, but also how a consumer would see it. Because
Yeah.
that is just too much. Like daily emails from anybody. I don't even care if I actually
Yeah.
like your stuff. If you start sending me daily emails, I'm out.
Yeah, I think I get daily emails from Victoria's Secret, and I'm still not sure why I haven't unsubscribed because I'm like, I buy from them maybe like twice a year, if that, like once, twice a year, but I still haven't unsubscribed. So I don't know, you never know, but
Yeah. Well, once I
um,
started paying for newsletters, I started seeing how much it costs. And so
yeah,
like I'm very conscious of unsubscribing if I'm not going to be like actually engaging with them. And
yeah,
that yeah, that's kind of made me conscious of that. But I buy from Joanne all the time and I get daily, sometimes
yeah,
multiple time emails and I just unsubscribe. I'm like, hey, I need you to chill. I have the app. I will look it up.
right,
I can't do this many emails from you,
yeah.
please.
And do you use MailChimp or do you use a different?
I use Flowdesk. It's
Oh,
newer.
interesting.
It's
Yeah.
not bad. It doesn't have quite have the usability as MailChimp or even like MailerLite. I really
Hmm.
liked some of the ways you could put together the newsletters for them. Flowdesk is a little bit cheaper and it does have decent open rates. So I was very happy with that. They are changing it. So hopefully it
Hmm.
stays good. Who can
Yeah.
say? But yeah, I just started getting really irritated with the price increase constant with MailChimp that I just paced
Okay.
out.
And is this because you have a certain number of subscribers to your
Mm-hmm.
newsletter? Okay. Because I think it's 2,000. I think 2,000 is the limit. So if you guys are just starting out, if you're watching, it is free up to a certain amount. I am still under that at this point, and I had a bunch of people that unsubscribed, and if they unsubscribe and they stay on your list as being unsubscribed, it counts towards your total. So I
Mm-hmm.
actually had to go in and find all the unsubscribes and delete them from the list so that I could stay on the free plan. But I have a feeling I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna have to pay. So
Yeah,
just keeping that in
that's
mind, it's a good place to start. But once you start having to pay, you might want to look at some of your options.
yeah, that's where it started with me too, with MailChimp. I was trying to keep it down low and keep it,
Mhm.
getting rid of the people that weren't engaging with it, the people that weren't opening, like looking at the analytics there, and cutting like a lot of the people, just giving them the opportunity to unsubscribe themselves or choose to stay subscribed and hopefully keep opening the emails. But yeah, it kept getting more and more, and I just kept going over the tiers. And then they
Yeah,
started doing like I think it was 5, and then the next year it was another 5 to 10 increase on the same
yeah,
level. And I was just like, I can't be spending $70 a month on a
yeah.
newsletter
That's
too,
crazy.
because like I honestly don't make that much money. And it started making me just like a little panicky. And so I was looking for different options, and Flowdesk popped up. It doesn't have massive usability, but it does work. The newsletters look nice, and I can still
Mhm.
see the analytics and see how many people are opening and be able to, you know, get what I want from it. And honestly, I like the resend to unopens feature,
Yeah,
and that's one of
yeah,
my favorites, and they have it.
that's awesome. Yeah, and that's good to know. I haven't done any additional research on that. I think I was using something called like Tiny Letter that was like a subsidiary of Mailchimp. Um, but then they did something. I had sent out an email and it like froze my account and was like, we think this might be spam. And I was like, well, obviously it's not, and I sent them a message and nothing ever happened. So that's when I moved to MailChimp. And so, we talked about that, it's a journey, things are gonna
Mm-hmm.
change and morph as your business grows, and growing pains happens.
Absolutely. Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
I definitely want to talk a little bit because we chatted a little about this beforehand, about some of the pressure that comes along with, especially what you do, which is putting out such a high volume of patterns on such a regular basis. If you want to talk about that a little bit and just what are some of the things that you do to try to keep that stress level down and that anxiety level down that comes with being a pattern designer.
A lot of the pardon me. A lot of the release schedule actually comes from the anxiety. Like I have the structured release schedule and I have the consistent, 5 to 6 patterns a month, which is a lot. I will absolutely own that. I do have the opportunity. I have the time for it. I'm very privileged to be able to work from home at the rate that I do. I spoke to you, I lost my retail job last year. And luckily, my husband has a job that he can keep working. He still keeps getting money in. And so it helps to offset. And I don't have to really have as much fear about my money going towards, food, because people like to eat. Yeah. So that stress isn't as much there, but it's still very much the validation, feeling like a productive person, feeling like you're just a useful human is hard sometimes. And so that's something that I've used my crochet release schedule, my business. I'm trying to use that to combat my feelings of just not being good enough. And so I feel like if I can keep my release schedule and try to keep growing in some way, it will help me feel good. It'll help me feel worthwhile. And sometimes it works. I wouldn't suggest to people to align your worth as a person with your business. That is probably not the best way to go. But it does help. The structure, again, like it makes me feel like I'm working towards something, even if the goal is just to get through the next month. And so it's got its ups and downs for sure.
Well, and I think, like you said, I think you're right that aligning your self-worth with your business is not the healthiest decision, but I don't think we get to make that decision sometimes. I think
living under capitalism, you just can't, honestly.
There are so many things that we can tell ourselves of like, this probably isn't healthy, this probably isn't healthy, but I think most of us know that. It's just figuring out how to align that in our head of like, okay, just because I didn't make sales this week doesn't mean I'm not a worthwhile human, and it's not that people don't like me or like my stuff, but it's hard. Like we are our own worst critics. We're always in our heads, trying to fight the what is it, the angel and the devil, one on either shoulder yelling at us, and then we have to figure out how to combine those two and move forward. But I think you're right that it's finding the coping mechanisms, the healthy coping mechanisms that allow us to do what we need to do in a way that is that allows us to live happily, I guess, because you're right. Like, I think for you, putting yourself on a schedule, like there's still stress, but I would like to think, I hope to think that you still enjoy your day-to-day life, that you can, because you know what you need to get done, and you can get that checked off the list, and, at least sometimes maybe breathe a little easier as you work through those. I may be wrong.
No, it definitely helps. Like it really does. I feel the panic constantly as far as like trying to figure out what I need to do and what my next step is. And sometimes honestly, anything can throw it off, but that's just like mental health stuff. But having a schedule does at least give me something to look at and go, oh, okay, so the next thing I need to do is figure out what the first pattern for November is going to be. Mm-hmm. And so it gives me like clarity. I can stop, and instead of feeling like I need to do everything, I can stop and go with one thing. Like, okay, calm down and do the one thing.
Yeah.
And that does help. And outside of the value and whatnot, it does help to at least give me structure and make me feel like I'm grounded in something, especially when you feel like everything is out of control.
Are there other things that you do to help you with anxiety and stress outside of crafting? Are there any other, things that you do to help with that in your day-to-day life?
I clean. And honestly, that's one of my things, especially if crochet just is fine. I can't get through a pattern. Like you just can't figure out why this isn't working,
Yeah.
or I'm frustrated because like my test is going poorly. Like I messed up a whole section and then I feel absolutely bad. And I'm like, why
Yeah.
did I do that? This is supposed to be something in my job. Like,
Yeah.
come on now. And just, I will clean or bake or something, like something where I can actually still use my hands and I can just, like, I'll just clean the floor 3-4 times if it makes me feel a little bit better. Or, I'll pull out and make a pizza or,
Hmm.
pie or something. I can't wait for pie season because it's so therapeutic to
Yeah.
pull out and chop up all the apples or peaches or what have you I'm going to use. And I like to make the dough from scratch. And like, there's a lot of the process that goes into it. And you have to focus, especially when it comes to
Yes.
baking, because it's such a science. And so you have to pay
Mhm.
attention and it does actually
It brings you
help.
into the present.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like all
Absolutely.
of those things are like an active meditation. Even
Mm-hmm.
with cleaning, like cleaning and showering is like those moments where my brain just kind of lets me. I'm not thinking about the anxiety. I can actually start maybe thinking creative thoughts. Like sometimes that's where my creative thoughts will come from when I'm doing something like cleaning or baking or like I said, even just showering. I don't know why, but I think it's been proven that good ideas come in the shower though. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I've thought of stitched combinations while I'm doing the
Mhm.
dishes. I'll just like my
Yep.
brain will start thinking about things and listen. I always have music on in the background or something, and so just thinking, and I'll be like, "Ooh, I like the idea of that. I should put those two
Yeah.
together and see how it looks." And then I'll play around with it when I'm done. And that's between that or like those moments before you fall asleep, like you just
Yeah.
thinking constantly. So, but it does help. It really is like an active meditation where you're just kind of sitting not thinking, but you're letting your mind kind of go.
Yeah, definitely. So, we don't have too much time left, but I would love for you to touch a little bit on for people who are interested in working with other brands. So, working with these larger brands, if you just have a few tips and maybe talk a little bit about your experience with that and what people can do to if they're wanting to do that.
As far as tips, I hate it with social media. Like having a good social media, like you've got a consistent post schedule, you have like fun, like you have a voice that you're putting out there, you have a clear intention, and good photos also help. Unfortunately, like it's a whole package. I've
Mhm.
had a lot of brands reach out to me because of my social media presence, my constant posting and everything. I've also reached out to brands to work with them, hit and miss on that.
Mhm.
A lot of times I've had them reach out. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for with brands because a lot of them don't pay, and that sucks. And that's the
Yeah.
hardest part. Not having to pay for yarn is like a massive improvement. Like getting yarn support from companies
Mhm.
is incredible. But after a while, like yarn support doesn't feed you. And so it's
Mhm.
kind of like a balancing act. And like you got to manage what these brands want from you with what you need too.
Mhm.
And you got to like you could put together a media kit so that you have ideas and you can show them what you can bring to the table.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know exactly how to like ever tell anybody like actual like good advice on that front
Yeah.
because I'm not great at it. I got to admit, like I've built some relationships with some great brands over the years, but I kind of feel like I just lucked into it. Like I don't know how I was so fortunate. Probably just the skinny white woman type of shit. Excuse me, sorry. I've been trying so hard not to swear, but there is like that. Like it's such an easy entry. Unfortunately, like brands reach out to a particular demographic a lot and I just kind of fit that niche, and it sucks, but it that's what happens sometimes.
I feel like the good news is that has changed a lot just over the past year or
They've been
so.
a lot better. A lot of the brands that I work with have actually become conscious of the fact that they really do reach out to just the conventionally attractive white woman too often,
Mhm.
and they're trying better.
Yeah.
Um, so that is nice to see. I actually, it's not taking anything from my pie. It's making sure other people have a piece too, and I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Well, and I think you have it right. You know, there are going to be situations where, and the same thing has happened to me where I didn't have to reach out. Someone reached out to me. And I think a lot of that is, like you said, the consistency, the figuring out your voice. You know, what exactly does your brand do? You know, do you have a specialty? Do you have a specific personality that you're putting out there? You can't copy anyone else. Like it's got to be you. But then I think it goes into the consistency of you got to do what the brand asks. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, and they may ask a lot. I mean, there's brands that I've turned down working with because they asked so much that I was like, I don't have time for that.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's one of those things that I've learned over the years. Like you got to ask what they're looking for. Like
Hmm.
honestly, you need to ask them what they want from you because you don't want to agree to something and then find, 2 months down the road they're expecting a sweater and you don't get paid for it. Like that's
Yeah,
not going to happen. Like that's just not okay. And they're like, here, we'll send you yarn. You make this. We're like, no.
yeah,
Like it's a lot to balance and you need to think about what you can do, but
hmm,
also what will help you grow and feed you. Like
yeah,
it's a whole balancing thing.
because we all got to eat.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, yarn support and exposure don't pay the bills.
Well, last two questions for today that I have for you. And by the way, if anyone has any last quick questions, you can pop them in the comments. And again, thanks for everybody for joining in today live and anyone watching the replay. I appreciate it so much, and I'm just glad to be able to do these. But I wanted to ask you what you feel like one of the biggest challenges has been for you with your business. And this could have been a long time ago, or it could be recent. But what's been a challenge and something that has really pushed you maybe even to the next level with your business because of coming through that challenge?
It's kind of finding out like we were just saying, your brand, your voice, what you want to do. Once I started designing, I started trying to figure out what everybody else was making
Mm-hmm.
and started doing those patterns and trying to do that. And it wasn't that great. It wasn't that profitable. It didn't work well for me because it just was inauthentic to
Yeah.
my brand, to who I am. It felt forced. It was hard to even sell to people, be like, hey, check out this pattern that I think is okay. Like it was hard. and,
Yeah.
and like that's been the biggest challenge, is to find what I want to say,
Yeah.
like what I want to make, how I want to make it. Like, what's going to work for somebody else doesn't work for me. I've
Yeah.
tried to do the beautiful monochrome designs. Some people can just absolutely make these incredible, like really single color, beautiful things, where I honestly, anytime I see something in one color, I often think, ooh, can I do that in 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Like it's like engaging with what makes me happy and then finding that balance in the industry, because it is hard also. Like trying to, balance, my own voice and my own like authentic spin on everything. And then also trying to make sure that people will buy it. Cause like, I know that those sound contradictory sometimes, like, but you still actually have to manage that too. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest challenge I find constantly, is trying to get my creative impulses out, but also not to be too weird.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I feel the same way when I do patterns, because I kind of want my patterns to be a little weird, but I don't want them to be so weird that people don't buy them.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing right there, is you try to find your voice, try to find what is authentic to you, but also you need to be able to sell it, because
Yeah.
otherwise the, 70 hours that you put into this pattern is now kind of 70 hours wasted.
Yes, definitely.
And so it's a lot.
So the last question that I had for you was, what is your favorite thing about this job and what you get to do every day?
My favorite thing is honestly like I said earlier, my background in art. I love to be creative, and it's making things. Like it doesn't matter if it's my first sweater or my last, or it's a new ridiculous coaster or something. It feels cool. I still hold things up to my husband and go, look, what do you think? Isn't it cool? Like, it's, almost 10 years into this, and I still hold it up. Like, I want him to put it on the fridge with a magnet so everybody can see when they come into the house, because it just still thrills me. Like, I put on my school my school sweater the other day, and I still was just like, look, I love it. It's just so cute, and it just makes me happy.
Into the living room and do a little dance. Like, you got to check this out. This is awesome. I made it.
I'll do like a little wiggle if I just finished my sleeve. I'll put my arm out and be like, look, it's a whole sleeve now. Isn't that cool? and that's my favorite thing about it, is it still thrills me to make something with my hands and go, look.
That's awesome. Let's see. CB Fiberworks says, Amber, your 60 Halloween movie post inspired me to put a new spin on an old pattern, and it's doing really well. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. I absolutely love that. That is fantastic. I'm so glad. Was it any specific movie or just in general?
Right. I don't know. We'll see if she responds. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for joining in today live, and for anyone who's watching the replay. This is my Pink Sheep and Friends series, and it's really just a chance for me to connect you guys with new people and new friends and new makers and new designers, and for me to have the chance to just chat. I'm thankful that you guys have enjoyed watching them, and I'm trying to do these like once a month if I can make it happen. But like Amber says, sometimes I can't stay on task, and I should probably start making some Google reminders that I need to schedule someone to make sure that they can actually come. And CV Fireworks it was Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, oh, that's a classic.
Was the movie.
Yes. Keaton, oh, he's so good in that.
I need to check out your Halloween movie list, by the way, because I have a Christmas list that I'm going to be sharing, because I finally got to a point where I think I can do my own 25 days of Christmas with movies that we have at my house, which I couldn't do for a long time, and I can now. So I definitely want to do that. And I'm not a Halloween movie person, like not really. Like I think I own Hocus Pocus. Like I think that's it. And I'm not a scary movie fan, but the fact that you brought up Beetlejuice, I was like, of course that would be a Halloween movie. So I need to check out your list, because I think that might give me some more movies that I would actually watch for Halloween.
Yeah, I need to, I'll post it again in my stories, and then maybe create like a little highlight on my Instagram. But that would be awesome. Yeah, I keep adding to it. It was initially supposed to just be 61 and we do random, but now I think it's up to like 80 something. So I don't know if we'll continue watching it through, but every time I see something, I'm like, oh, I forgot about that movie. I'll add that and stuff. Yeah. And it's fun to just like randomly pick a movie and watch it every night. We're not really big movie watchers in our house more often than not, but Halloween's my favorite time of year. I wanted to add some scary movies to my, because I'm not a big scary movie fan either. I don't actually watch really scary movies, but I do like horror movies, and how they can just be so informative. Like they can like the Romero movies. He says there's no social commentary there, but they're like, you kind of want to do some Death of the Author. It feels like there absolutely is. And we just watched Scream. We actually watched the first 2 Screams, and I still love Scream. It's not scary, but it's just such a good movie. And so it's fun. We get to watch old ones that I've seen before, and the new ones that I haven't seen. I know Hereditary's on our list. I have not watched that. I'm ready to be scared.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Someone just said Edward Scissorhands in the comments, and I was thinking Sleepy Hollow, because that was one that I watched a lot when I was younger. But yeah, is that on your blog somewhere, or has it just been in like Instagram stories and stuff?
Instagram stories. I actually created a Google Doc with all the lists. I try to keep it updated when I figure out where it's streaming, because I do have quite a few streaming services between ones that I subscribe to, and then I know you're not supposed to, but ones my family members subscribe to that I have passwords for. I know the companies are like, please don't do that, but like nobody can pay another $15. I'm sorry.
If you want to send me the link to the Google Doc, if that's public for people to look at, I can add it to the description of the video for anyone who's watching.
Yeah, I'll throw that in there.
You guys can check it out, because I definitely need to check it out now.
Yeah, I've got anytime, like I said, we're still adding to it, so it's always changing.
That's fantastic.
But it's been a fun, like, little structured thing.
Yeah, and that's why I think I feel like I need to do something like that with Christmas now that I still have movies that I want to buy. I keep like a running list on my phone of Christmas movies and other movies that I need to buy, like in my little notes app, and just cross them off as I purchase them because we've been trying to. When we turned off cable, we were like, well, we'd rather just have like one streaming service and then just start buying movies on Amazon because the older
Hmm.
movies are like $5. So like I'll get the
Yeah.
DVD or the Blu-ray, and start buying some of the shows that we really like. And yeah, so that's where I started keeping that. And like I said, last year, I think I bought 5 or 6 more Christmas movies in December, and I think I'm up to where I could do a nice running list of movie ideas for people.
Hmm. And like I said earlier, now that you've got your Discord going on, you could actually have like that fun watch along feature, which
Yes,
is what I kind of feel like I should have had together first before I started doing the movie watch. So, but it's fun because I do post about it every day and people reply with like things they like about it. And sometimes, and it's a fun little, it's an engagement feature, but it's just also, I love Halloween. I just want to
yeah.
spread the joy, the Halloween
I've
cheer
loved all
to
your
one and
Halloween
all.
stories. You've had a lot of great Halloween stories too, as I've been going through them. I like some of the funny ones. I saw one of the Hocus Pocus ones, I think yesterday. And your patterns have been fantastic for Halloween so far. And I think I like them too because they're not like creepy, scary Halloween. They're like cute and fun and bright and wonderful Halloween, which is
Oh,
definitely the aesthetic that I go for.
oh, absolutely. I'm fun Halloween all day. Like I am more Hocus Pocus than I am like I don't know, the Saw movies or something.
Yes.
Like I'm definitely fun Halloween. Like I like that. Last year we did a mouth around our door for Halloween for
Oh,
the trick or treaters.
cool.
I painted
Yeah.
big teeth and it had like the gums and everything, and we tacked it to
Awesome.
the overhang, and then we put it in the bushes so there were teeth coming up too, and we put like a red light so
That's
that it
awesome.
was all red like a mouth would be and stuff,
Yeah.
and like that's cutesy silly
Yeah.
Halloween. Like
Yeah.
maybe the little kids were scared, but like overall the older kids thought it was so much fun and the parents enjoyed it too, and like that's my Halloween. I don't want to be scared, I want
Yeah.
to have fun.
I don't I don't want to be like peeking behind my shower curtain when I'm trying to take a shower because I'm worried that like, yeah, or not looking in the mirror because something's going to look back. I don't want to. No, thanks.
Yeah, that's not me either. I just want
I
to
have
have
enough
fun.
anxiety as is.
Right. My husband already announces himself when he walks into a room because otherwise I'll freak out. So I don't need scary movies on top of it usually. Like I want
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Yes.
Like
No, I
we
completely
have
understand.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil on our list, and
Huh?
just kind of cutesy, goofy Halloween movies like that. Like that's more. I added some scary ones. Like I said, Hereditary. I'm ready to try it, but I also absolutely just love like fun movies. I've got The Craft and stuff that I still love. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
Like it's the good stuff is
definitely.
still on there. Gremlins, the old Gremlins movie. I
Yes,
can't wait to
this
watch.
is why I've got to look at this list of videos because I don't even think about it because I've never done a Halloween movie marathon, so I never really like put two and two together of like all these movies that would potentially be Halloween themed movies. So that's happening. Definitely send me that link because I'm going to add that.
Okay.
Anyone who's watching now or watching in the future, that link will be added to the description of the video so you guys can check out all of the awesome Halloween movies. Some scary, some
Yeah.
not.
Absolutely. And if anybody has a good idea, please let me know. If I've missed one, I feel like I probably have. I keep finding ones. We watched The Fog last night, the Carpenter's The Fog from like 1980. Never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It was very chill. Like it was a
Yeah, I
very
haven't heard of
like,
it. So
yeah, it's kind of one of his older ones. It was not scary at all, but it was
that's
fun.
good to know.
It was fun. It wasn't scary though. I was like, so it's just a fog. My husband's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a fog. I was like, okay,
Okay.
okay. So it's been fun, and I will definitely send it to you. And like I said, if anybody has any ideas, I would love to hear if I missed any big glaring movies on there.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you again, Amber, for coming on. I don't want to keep you too long. But I may ask you to come back again. This was great. I had a great chat with you. It seems like everyone enjoyed it. And I want it to be more like real friends. That means we come back and we don't not talk again. So
Absolutely, we'll come back. We can
yeah,
do a Christmas one.
Exactly. We'll have
You
to
can hook me
catch
up with
back up
Christmas
about.
movies.
Mhm,
Because I'm not a
mhm.
Christmas movie person. I will like try to
No,
go find the real corny ones every once in a
I'll
while, where it's just
transition you.
like the was it like the Christmas Prince or something. I think I've watched all three of those, but that's
Okay,
about
and that's
it.
on
Like
Netflix. I think that's a
yes,
Netflix
I do
one,
believe
right?
that's
And
a
see, I haven't
Netflix.
seen that. See, so we'll definitely have to do
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Well, thanks again to everyone who joined and who's watching the replay. And yeah, until next time, happy hooking, guys.
Yeah. Happy 61 days
Bye.
of Halloween.
Yes.
Bye.